Hello YouTube, this is Francis bringing you a Nova Grappler deck profile once again, except this time featuring the Blaukluger series, also known as the Gundams. I'm going to try to get into more detail about this deck because the way I played this deck is a little bit different, quite a bit different than most Nova Grappler decks. So this might be a little bit long. I will post the deck list in the comment box below. No, sorry, not the description box below for those who don't want to go through the entire video. But if you do want to learn about this deck and how I play it personally, feel free to watch. It might be a bit long, but I will try to talk slower because I talk a little too fast when I'm trying to condense all the material. So Blaujunger's effect. If you write the grade 1 on top of him, you can search the grade 2 Blaukluger. So the same as Blaster Javelin and Blaster Dark. Nothing happens if you don't get the grade 1 on him. So just standard right chain. 4 heals, 4 draws, and 8 criticals. Exact same as my other deck. I don't feel that stand triggers have synergy with Blaukluger because I play this deck as somewhat of a resource battle, and it doesn't really work if you have stand triggers. I'll explain why later. Anyways, draw triggers, very good. First of all, it's a 5k that you can ditch with Sturm Blaukluger easily, and it won't hurt your feelings. Second of all, it replenishes your hand to compensate for the ditching that you have to do. Also, hey, drawing cards is never bad. So 8 criticals because you can put the critical if they didn't guard your Vanguard attack, you can put the critical and power on your Vanguard and stand him, and all of a sudden they have to guard the second attack, which is bigger, and it's just a huge win for you. And if you check a double crit, they're basically taking 3 damage and then have to guard for a 31k attack. Okay, so that's the triggers there. Let's move on to the grade 1s. You have 4 of your right chain. He becomes 8k if you have this guy in your soul, which you should. Oh, actually, sorry, Vanguard, only on Vanguard. He's still a 6k booster, which is not very good. Second effect, when you call him to a rear guard, only rear guard circle, you can ditch a grade 3 and search for your Sturm Blaukluger. Something you should note is you can call him to the rear guard and ditch the same copy to search for another one, and that thins your deck, and that's one less grade 3 you can check into, because this guy's not very good as a rear guard, so you don't want to get him. You want to get rid of him from your deck as fast as possible and just ditch him for perfect guards. So unless you want to go for the super cool triple Gundam frontline, but it's not good. 2 Dancing Wolves. This card is incredible. I cannot stress how good this is. I didn't run it before, but then my friend said that you should run them. They're really good. And I didn't believe him, but I did, and he was right. I stand corrected. He's only useful behind Sturm Blaukluger because there's no stands in this deck. But even so, he is so good because when you stand Sturm Blaukluger, all of a sudden this is hitting for 21 without triggers instead of 18. And that's a 20k for 2 trigger guard instead of 15. So, yeah, that's about it. 2 Claydol mechanics because I run kiraras in this deck, and the flipping effect is just super good. You can never have too many counterblasts in this deck because it gives pressure. So you want to relieve. You want to always open 2 face-up damage when you attack. So this guy really helps with that. And 3 Tough Boys. I would run 4, and I am thinking of running 4. I'm thinking of taking out Asura Kaiser for a 4th one because he works super well with Eisenkugel, and you should always have 4 vanillas anyways because vanillas are awesome. Grade 1 vanillas are awesome. So, and 3 perfect guards. Pretty standard, self-explanatory. You don't want to run 4. It's not Nova Grappler is not a deck that you should run 4 because you do desperately need the boosters. I honestly think it's not too big of a problem in this deck particularly because you're not really doing much rushing. But with conservative play style of this deck, you can get away with 3, and that's what I am running. Now moving on to the grade 2s. 3 of your grade 2 guys. Why only 3 instead of 4, you say? First of all, it has no effect as a rear guard, so he's just 9k vanilla grade 2, which is not very good. Second of all, considering the grade 1's, your starter Vanguard's ability to search for him, you pretty much have 7 copies in your deck, because as long as you get the grade 1, you will get the grade 2, so there's really no need to run 4, in my opinion. He looks super good, super badass, but I wouldn't run more than 3. Kiraras, I run 4 of. People say this is a bad idea because Kirara needs 2 counter blasts and it fights for counter blasts that Blaukluger wants to use, blah 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 blah. But I strongly disagree, mostly because of how I play this deck. You really need cards in hand for this deck to work, and therefore you really need draw power, and that's exactly what Kirara provides. You can either run this or King of Swords, but if you run King of Swords without the Queen, it's just bad, and you don't have any space for Queen in your grade 1 lineup. So you could run, of course you could run Vanillas, and Vanillas are never bad, but I just think Kirara provides more draw power, and I'll get into it later, but Kirara in combination with Stern Blaukluger is actually really good, because it makes your series of attacks a win-win situation. Of if they let even 1 through, you will get something out of it, let it be drawing or standing. So I'll talk about that later. And finally, you have 4 Eisenkugels. Some people only run 3 because he loses 5k if your Vanguard is not the Blaukluger series, but it's not really that big of an issue because you generally, with so much searching power, you generally have Stern Blaukluger as your Vanguard. Out of the 12 games I played yesterday, there's only 1 game that I was forced to ride Asura Kaiser, and even then, Eisenkugel is not really a big deal because you will always put Tough Boy behind him anyways, and he gets 2k when he attacks, even if your Vanguard is not a Blaukluger series. So he's 7k plus 8, it's 15. And if they have a 10k Vanguard, you're hitting for the same thing as any of your other rear guards anyways. So it does become a problem when they have 11, but then just don't call him and call something else. Like, it's not the end of the world. Nobody's forcing you to call him. Now, 4 Stern and 4 Asura Kaiser. Asura Kaiser is not the ideal Vanguard in this deck, obviously, because of how it's set up. You don't really swing with your rear guards first, except on your grade 2 turn, because, oh, I forgot to mention, Stern Blaukluger flips if it hits when it's a Vanguard. So in combination with Kirara, if you attack with Kirara first, use the counterblast, and you attack with him again, and you hit, Kirara becomes a counterblast 1 to draw 1 card, and who doesn't want that, right? Anyways, he's mostly there for you to discard with your Blaupanzer and search for this guy. And he's also an 11k vanilla rearguard attacker, which is never bad. Stern Blaukluger, 11k when you have the grade 2 in your soul. When it hits a Vanguard, counterblast 2 and discard 2 Nova grapplers from your hand to stand this unit and the card behind him at the cost of losing to Twin Drive. I wouldn't say it's the bad version of The End. They are just different cards. The End is for raw advantage, whereas this card is for raw power. Still, The End, because card advantage is worth more than power in this deck, you can argue that The End is better, but I really like this effect because it creates a lot of pressure. So onto the in-depth combo, not really in-depth, but the way I play this, that I was talking about. I don't play this deck as a rush deck. So first combo I want to talk about is your grade 2 ride. Let's assume you have boosters behind both. This is the only turn I will attack with rearguard first instead of Vanguard first. You will swing with Kirara, at their rear guard. This is very important. You don't swing at their vanguard. You swing at their rear guard, if they have one. This is because you want to burn through their resources to set up for your Stern Blaukluger. So the more resources they burn now, the better it is, the higher chance it is that they don't have enough guards for your Stern Blaukluger. So you hit their rear guard. If they don't guard it, counterblast 2, draw a card. Try to set yourself up so you have 2 counterblasts for this turn. So just take all the damages and only call 1 grade 1. Don't try to rush them with grade 1s because you're just wasting your resources. So attack. If they don't guard it, counterblast 2, draw 1. If they do guard it, great. That's 10k shield out of their hand. And then you attack with this on their vanguard. If they don't guard it, okay, fine. That's usually what happens. They won't guard your vanguard attack because it is only the grade 2 and they need the counterblast. And sure, cool. You flip 1. Kirara became a counterblast 1 to draw 1. If they do guard it, they are stupid. Like I with the lack of a better word, they are just stupid. Why would you guard a grade 2 attack and knowing that my grade 3 hitting is devastating? But you know, if they do guard it, good for you. And then you ride onto your Stern. This is probably dead, but you're probably gonna have another one because you have 4. Now, this completely changes. This is all assuming you have 2 counterblasts right now. From now on, the entire game, you're going to swing with this guy first. Why is that? Let's say the more likely scenario. They're most likely at 2 damage because you attack once with your grade 1, you attack once with your grade 2. That's assuming you don't crit. Let's say they're at 3 damage, even if you do crit. You're hitting. If you are at 3 damage, would you guard a Vanguard attack? Most likely not, because you need the counterblast for your strategy to work. But let's say they do. Okay, you drive check. You don't check into anything. That's cool. You attack Kirara onto your rear guard again. They guard it? Cool. If they don't guard it, counterblast. Or you don't have the counterblast if you don't want to. But you could. You have the option to, because they just let it hit. You can counterblast 2, draw a card, and just flip stuff for next turn. Notice that this turn they didn't take any damage, but they lost 15k worth of shield to guard this, and either 10k worth of shield or a rear guard plus a card for you in this turn. So you are gaining resources while burning their resources throughout this battle and not giving them counterblasts to fight back with. You're going to be behind in damage, of course, but the thing about this deck is you can catch up in damage in 1 turn. Literally 1 turn, because of how strong Stern Blaukluger is. And then next turn, you just keep doing this until they finally let one go through, because they're running out of resources, and they're running out of rear guards, and they want to save the cards in their hand to call. Okay, you attack, and they let it hit. Let's say you get 1 trigger, and it happens to be a crit. You put it on him, and you stand again. And you attack again, this time hitting for 26. Now they have to guard this, or else they're gonna die, because that's 4 damage in 1 turn. That's insane. You cannot afford to take that. Now all of a sudden you burnt so much from their entire hand, and did 2 damage. Let's say you get not a crit trigger, you get a draw trigger. Still, you swing, and if they don't block it, you did 2 damage in this turn alone. And you got a draw trigger. And then you swing Kirara at their rear guard again. And at this point, they're going to start getting pissed off because all their rear guards are dying for free because they're wasting all their shields guarding your Vanguard's attack. This is the thing. This is why I love this deck, because you're fighting a resource battle, and Nova grapplers are generally not good at that. But this deck, because Stern Blaukluger alone puts on so much pressure for them to guard, even at 2 damage, even at 3 damage. You can afford to use your rear guard to hit their rear guards and not lose the game, because you have so much advantage built into Kirara itself. Also, they're burning insane amount of shields for this guy. 15k every turn, it adds up. Especially because they're starting to guard 1 turn or even 2 turns earlier than you, because you don't have to guard when you're at 3 damage. I really don't think you do. And the only thing I found annoying is that when they intercept with for this attack, it's actually the exact way to counter this playstyle. You intercept to block this Vanguard there, and all of a sudden now my kirara has to hit your Vanguard to give you damage. But hey, I still get to draw a card. This card is not there so you can use this effect. Don't ever think about it that way. Don't think I have to save Counter Blast for this. No, that's a terrible way to think about it. Think about this as the pressure of them having to guard your Vanguard attack. Because the classic thing about Nova grapplers is they generally don't have to guard your Vanguard attack because you run stand triggers, which is why I don't like stand triggers. Let's say you do run stand triggers. Oh, yeah, going back to my main point. Let's say you run stand triggers. You're forced to attack with kirara first. And let's say you clear a rear guard. And then you're forced to attack with your other guy. And then you clear another rear guard. And then you attack with stern. And then they guarded. And you get a stand trigger. You stand your kirara. Notice now you are forced to attack their Vanguard with your kirara, even though you don't really want to give them damage. And they can take it for free because it has no criticals. This has no criticals on it, so sure, why not? I'll take a damage for free. That's why I don't like stand triggers in this deck, because I really think you will get the most advantage out of attacking with Blaukluger first. So that I'll conclude my deck profile video here. Thank you for watching. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. If especially comment if you have any ideas you want to throw at me or any criticism. Feel free. And yeah, that's Francis signing out. And I hate the new YouTube. See ya.